That same year, at the beginning of the reign of Zedekiah, king of Yehuda, in the 5th month, on the 4th year, Hananiah, the son of Azur, the prophet, from Givon, spoke to me in Adonai's house in front of the Kohanim and all the people, saying, This is what Adonai Sabaoth, the God of Israel, says. I have broken the yoke of the king of Baval. Within 2 years I will restore to this place all the articles from Adonai's house that Nebuchadnezzar, king of Baval, removed from this place and carried to Baval. Also I will bring back here Jeconiah, the son of Joachim, king of Yehuda, along with those from Yehuda who were taken captive to Baval, says Adonai, for I will break the yoke of the king of Baval. Then the prophet Yirmiyahu said to the prophet of Hananiah in front of the Kohanim and all the people standing in Adonai's house, the prophet Yirmiyahu said, Amen. May Adonai do it. May Adonai fulfill the words you have prophesied and bring back from Baval to this place all the articles from Adonai's house and all the people who carried away captive. Nevertheless, listen now to this word that I am speaking for you to hear and for all the people to hear. The prophets who were here before me and before you prophesied in times past against many countries and against great kingdoms about war, disaster, and plagues. As for the prophet who prophesies peace, when the word of that prophet is fulfilled, it will be evident concerning the prophet that Adonai indeed did send him. At this point, Hananiah, the prophet, took the crossbar off the prophet Yirmiyahu's neck and broke it. Then Hananiah, in front of all the people, said, Thus says Adonai, in this way will break off the yoke of Nebuchadnezzar, king of Baval, from the necks of all the nations within 2 years. The prophet Yirmiyahu left them. But then this word of Adonai came to Yirmiyahu after Hananiah, the prophet, had broken off the crossbar from the neck of the prophet Yirmiyahu. Go and tell Hananiah that Adonai says, You have broken the crossbar off the wood, but you will make in their place crossbars of iron. For here is what Adonai Sabaoth, the God of Israel, says, I have put a yoke of iron on the necks of all these nations, so that they can serve Nebuchadnezzar, king of Baval, and they will serve him, and I will give him the wild animals too. Then the prophet Yirmiyahu said to Hananiah the prophet, Listen here, Hananiah, Adonai has not sent you. You are making these people trust in a lie. Therefore, here is what Adonai says. I am about to send you away from the face of the earth. This year you will die, because you have preached rebellion against Adonai. Hananiah, the prophet, died that same year in the 7th month. Following in the text of the letter Yirmiyahu, the prophet, sent from Jerusalem to the leaders remaining in exile, as well as the Kohanim, the prophets, and all the people of Nebuchadnezzar, had carried off captive from Jerusalem to Baval. This was after Jeconiah, the king, the queen mother, the officers, the leaders of Yehuda and Jerusalem, all the artisans, the skilled workers, had left Jerusalem. The letter was entrusted to Elasah, the son of Shaphan, and Gimra, the son of Hilkiah. Zedekiah, king of Yehuda, sent them to Baval, to Nebuchadnezzar, king of Baval. The letter said, Here is what Adonai Sabaoth, the God of Israel, says to all those in exile, whom I have caused to carry off captive from Jerusalem to Baval. Build yourselves houses and live in them. Plant gardens and eat what they produce. Choose women to marry and have sons and daughters. Choose wives for your sons and give your daughters in marriage to men, so that they can have sons and daughters. Increase your numbers there, don't decrease. Seek the welfare of the city, which I have caused you to go in exile, and pray to Adonai on its behalf, for your welfare is bound up in its welfare. For this is what Adonai Sabaoth, the God of Israel, says. Don't let your prophets who are living among you and your diviners deceive you. Don't pay attention to the dreams you urge them to dream, for they are prophesying falsely in my name. I have not sent them, says Adonai, for here is what Adonai says. After Baval, 70 years are over, I'll remember you and fulfill my good promise to you for bringing you back to this place. For I know what plans I have in mind for you, says Adonai, plans well-being, not for bad things, so that you can have a hope in a future. Then you will call to me and pray to me. I will listen to you. When you seek my face, you will find me, provided you seek me wholeheartedly, and I will let you find me, says Adonai. Then I will reverse your exile. I will gather you from all the nations and places where I have driven you, says Adonai, and bring you back to the place where I have exiled you. You say that Adonai has raised up prophets for you in Baval. But here is what Adonai says about the king occupying David's throne and about all the people living in the city, your kinsmen, and who do not go into exile with you. Thus says Adonai Sabaoth, I will attack them with sword, famine, and plague, and I will make them like bad figs, so bad they are inedible. I will pursue them with the sword, famine, and plague, and I will make them an object of horror to all the kingdoms of the earth. And I will bring on themselves cursing, astonishment, ridicule, reproach, among all the nations where I have driven them, because they have not paid attention to my word, says Adonai, which I have sent to them through my servants and prophets. I sent them frequently, but you refused to listen, says Adonai. Pay attention now to the word of Adonai, all of you in exile, whom I sent away from Jerusalem to Baval. Here is what Adonai Sabaoth, the God of Israel, says about Achav, the son of Koliah, and Zedekiah, the son of Maaseiah, who prophesies lies to you in my name. I will hand them over to Nebuchadnezzar, king of Baval, and he will put to death before your eyes. In fact, all the exiles from Yehuda who are in Baval will take up this formula for cursing. May Adonai make you like Zedekiah and Achav, whom the king of Baval roasted in the fire, because they have done vile things in Israel, committing adultery with their neighbors' wives and speaking words in my name falsely, which I did not order them to say. For I am he who knows. I am a witness to this, says Adonai. To Shemaiah, the Nehemiah, you are to communicate this message. This is the word from Adonai Sabaoth, the God of Israel, because of the letters you sent in your own name to all the people of Jerusalem, including Zephaniah, the son of Maaseiah, the Kohen, and all the Kohanim. Your letter said, Adonai has made you the Kohen in place of Yehoiada, the Kohen, in order to have officials in Adonai's house who will arrest any crazy person who makes himself out to be a prophet, so you can restrain him in the stocks and collar. So why haven't you rebuked Yirmiyahu the Anatot, who makes himself out to be a prophet for you? He even sends word to us in Baval, saying that the exile will last a long time, so build houses and live in them, plant gardens and eat what they produce. Zephaniah the Kohen read this letter to Yirmiyahu the prophet, and afterwards the word of Adonai came to Yirmiyahu, instructing him to send to all those in exile this message. Here is what Adonai says about Shemaiah the Nehemiah. This Shemaiah has prophesied to you, even though I did not send him, and he has caused you to trust in a lie. Because of this, Adonai says, I will punish Shemaiah the Nehemiah and his offspring. He will not have a man to live among this people, and he will not see the good I am planning to do for my people, says Adonai, because he has preached rebellion against Adonai. This word came to Yirmiyahu from Adonai. This is what Adonai, the God of Israel, says. Write all the words I have spoken to you in a scroll, for the day is coming, says Adonai, when I will reverse the exile of my people Israel and Yehuda, says Adonai. I will cause them to return to the land I gave their ancestors, and they will take possession of it. These are the words of Adonai spoke concerning Israel and Yehuda. Here is what Adonai says. We have heard a cry of terror, of fear and not of peace. Ask now and see, can men give birth to children? Why then do I see all men with their hands on their stomachs like women in labor, with every face turned pale? How dreadful that day will be. There has never been one like it, a time of trouble for Yaakov, but out of it he will be saved. On that day, says Adonai Sabaoth, I will break his yoke from off his neck, and I will snap your chains. Foreigners will no longer enslave him. Instead, they will serve Adonai their God and David their king, whom I will raise up for them. So don't be afraid, Yaakov, my servant, says Adonai, or don't be alarmed, Israel. For I will return from you from far away, and your offspring from your country of exile. Yaakov will again be quiet at rest, and no one will make him afraid. For I am with you to save you, says Adonai. I will finish off all the nations where I have scattered you. However, you will not finish off, but I will discipline only as you deserve, and I will not completely destroy you. For here is what Adonai says: your wound is past healing, your injury most severe. No one thinks your wound can be bandaged. You have no medicines that can heal you. All your friends have forgotten you. They no longer seek you out. I have struck you down as an enemy would, punished as a cruel man would, because of your great wickedness, because of your many sins. Why cry that your wound and pain are past healing? I have done these things to you because of your great wickedness, because of your many sins. All you who devour will be devoured. All your enemies will go into exile. Those who plunder you will be plundered. Those who pillage you will be pillaged. For I'll restore your health. I will heal you of your wounds, says Adonai, because they called you an outcast, Zion, with no one who cares about her. Thus says Adonai, I will return Yaakov's captives to their tents. I will take pity on his dwellings. Cities will be rebuilt on their own tells, with palaces where they're supposed to be. From them will come thanksgiving, and will sound people celebrating. I will increase them. They will not be decreased. I will honor them, and they will not be despised. Their children will be as they used to be, their community confirmed in my presence. I will punish everyone who oppresses them. Their leader will be one of their own. Their rulers will come from among them, and I will cause them to come close and let him approach me. For otherwise, who would guarantee his heart enough to approach me, says Adonai. You will be my people, and I will be your God. Look, the storm of Adonai bursting out in fury, a sweeping storm whirling down upon the heads of the wicked. Adonai's fierce anger will not abate till the accomplishments of the purpose of his heart in the Archet Chaim. And you will understand. When that time comes, says Adonai, I will be God of all the clans of Israel, and they will be my people.